It was supposed to be just another night on late-night television, with jokes, laughter, and a few surprises. But what happened on Jimmy Kimmel Live stunned the audience, the crew, and everyone watching at home. Samuel L. Jackson, known for his no-nonsense attitude and sharp tongue, appeared as a guest and things quickly spiraled out of control. From the moment he sat down, there was tension in the air, thick and undeniable. Jimmy tried to keep the tone light, poking fun at recent Hollywood gossip, but Samuel didn't seem in the mood for jokes that night. He gave sharp replies, often clashing with Kimmel's usual playful sarcasm. The audience laughed nervously, unsure if this was part of a bit or a real feud unfolding live on television. Kimmel leaned into his usual comedic rhythm, but Jackson didn't bite. Instead, he pushed back, challenging the host in ways that made even the band fall silent. Cameras kept rolling, and what was supposed to be a funny segment turned sour fast. Jimmy, ever the professional, tried steering the conversation back to safer topics. He brought up Jackson's recent film, hoping to ease the tension, but Samuel wasn't having it. "We're not here to play Hollywood games," he said with a glare, drawing gasps from the crowd. Kimmel raised his eyebrows, clearly caught off guard. "This is a talk show, man," he replied with a nervous chuckle. "We talk, we laugh, we promote a broken bar." Samuel interrupted him. "That's exactly the problem. It's all promotion, no substance." The audience wasn't sure whether to applaud or cringe. The energy shifted again, uneasy and electric. Samuel's voice grew louder, more impassioned. He spoke of how late-night TV had become nothing but fluff, and that real conversations were buried under jokes and fake smiles. Jimmy's face tightened. "We try to have fun here, Sam," he said, the cheer in his voice fading. The studio lights seemed brighter. The tension refused to break. Cameras zoomed in. When the commercial break finally arrived, it couldn't have come sooner. But what happened off-camera would only make things worse. According to crew members, the argument continued even when the broadcast stopped. Kimmel, clearly upset, reportedly asked Jackson to tone it down before the next segment. But Jackson, already fuming, fired back, "I don't take notes from comedians trying to be journalists." The backstage crew exchanged worried looks. Producers scrambled to decide whether to continue the segment or cut it short. Meanwhile, Jackson stood his ground, arms crossed, daring anyone to tell him he was out of line. Kimmel returned from the break visibly rattled. "Well, we're back," he said, forcing a smile, "and the conversation's gotten passionate." Samuel smirked. "That's one word for it." The temperature in the room felt like it had spiked 10 degrees. Viewers at home could feel it too. Twitter started lighting up. Kimmel vs. Jackson began trending. Determined to regain control of his show, Kimmel shifted gears. He played a pre-recorded skit to cool things down, a safe, funny bit mocking celebrity endorsements. But even this couldn't escape Jackson's critique. "So now we're laughing at actors while asking them to promote?" he said, pointing toward the screen. The audience laughed awkwardly, unsure how to react. Kimmel, sensing he was losing grip on the moment, finally snapped, "Samuel, you came on this show knowing what it is. If you've got an issue with the format, maybe you shouldn't have agreed to come." That line did it. Jackson leaned forward in his seat. "Maybe I shouldn't have." The room fell silent. Jimmy looked toward the producers, who gave a subtle cue. Security was seen moving discreetly closer to the stage. Jackson stood up before they could reach him. "I've said my piece," he declared. The camera tried to keep up as he walked off set, removing his mic. The show cut to another break, but the damage had been done. In the hours that followed, social media erupted with speculation, memes, and divided opinions. Clips of the confrontation spread like wildfire. Fans of Jackson praised him for speaking his truth, calling him brave for confronting what they saw as a hollow entertainment system. Others defended Kimmel, arguing that late-night talk shows aren't the place for public takedowns. He invited a guest, not a debate. One tweet read, "Behind the scenes, producers scrambled to edit the episode for online release. Unsure how much to cut." ABC released a short statement calling the clash unscripted and unfortunate. Neither Jackson nor Kimmel commented publicly that night. However, insiders said both sides were furious. Jackson had reportedly left the building without saying goodbye, while Kimmel canceled a scheduled post-show meeting. For late-night TV, It was one of the most intense moments in recent history. The following morning, every major outlet covered the fallout. Headlines screamed about the clash. Panel discussions emerged, some praising the moment as a needed wake-up call, others criticizing both men for letting ego overshadow entertainment. Footage of the walk-off hit millions of views on YouTube within hours. Pundits debated whether Jackson would be blacklisted from late-night shows or whether Kimmel owed him an apology. Fans dissected every word, every glare, every pause. Commentators speculated about long-standing tension between Jackson and mainstream media. "This wasn't about just one show," said one expert on a morning program. "This was about years of bottled frustration." Meanwhile, Jackson remained silent. No tweets, no statements, just silence. Kimmel, during his next episode, made a vague reference to passionate guests, but didn't name names. The atmosphere was strange, like something sacred in the comedy world had cracked, and no one was quite sure how to patch it. Eventually, Jackson broke his silence during a podcast interview. Calm but firm, he said, "I didn't go there to start drama, but I also won't sit and laugh on command." The host asked if he'd return to Kimmel's show. Jackson replied, "Probably not." He explained that he felt ambushed, saying the questions felt more mocking than respectful. "I'm too old to play along," he added. Fans applauded his candor. Meanwhile, a former Kimmel staffer anonymously shared that tensions had been growing behind the scenes for a while. "It wasn't just that episode," they said. "Things have been boiling under the surface for months." This added more fuel to the fire. Rumors flew about other celebrities who'd clashed with the show but never went public. Jackson's clash opened a door few wanted to acknowledge. Was late-night TV becoming outdated? Was it too scripted, too safe? The conversation had started, and it wasn't going away. For his part, Jimmy Kimmel took a few weeks to regroup. He later gave a more thoughtful response during a guest appearance on another show. "I respect Sam," he said, "but I also think we were both caught in the wrong moment." He admitted the segment got out of control but stopped short of apologizing. "It's live TV. Things happen." The host chuckled, but there was a visible weariness in his eyes. Critics noted that Kimmel had grown more cautious in his interviews since the incident. No more spicy jokes at guests' expense, fewer sarcasm-driven bits. Jackson, meanwhile, seemed unfazed. He continued promoting his projects, doing interviews with podcasts and independent outlets, skipping the big late-night shows entirely. His fanbase only grew. What was once seen as a scandal was slowly turning into a symbol of truth-telling, of raw honesty in an industry often accused of being fake. People were listening in a new way. As the months passed, the moment became more than just a clash. It turned into a cultural flashpoint. Commentators pointed to the Jackson-Kimmel showdown as the beginning of a new era in celebrity media dynamics. Actors no longer had to smile through uncomfortable interviews. Hosts could no longer rely on charm alone to avoid accountability. Conversations deepened. Other celebrities followed Jackson's lead, speaking candidly, challenging questions, rejecting phony setups, and while some shows struggled with the shift, others embraced it. The line between talk show and real talk blurred. Jackson, whether he intended to or not, had ignited a movement, one that reminded everyone, the audience isn't stupid, and the truth can be more entertaining than any scripted joke. And though he may never return to Kimmel's couch, his presence still lingered, not in laughter, but in echo as a strong, sharp, and impossible to ignore. In hindsight, what happened that night wasn't just a fight between two personalities, it was a mirror, a reflection of what happens when comfort meets confrontation, when entertainment is asked to be real. Samuel L. Jackson didn't just walk off a stage, he walked onto a deeper conversation. Jimmy Kimmel, for all his skills as a host, learned that not every guest is there to play along, and audiences learned that late-night TV, for all its polish, can still deliver unscripted reality. Years from now, people might forget the exact words exchanged, but they'll remember the feeling. The moment the show stopped being a show, and turned into something else, something raw, something real. It reminded everyone that drama, however uncomfortably, isn't always smooth, but it's always powerful. And sometimes, it takes someone like Jackson to walk off before the world finally starts paying attention.